All praises to the Most High, Yahweh Bashem and Hawashai, Bahashem Raha Kodash. Double honors to the elder apostles and elder bishops of Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations to the hopeful elect, scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, laboring in His truth in all sincerity. 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 2 and 3, and I'll read this in the NLT. We reject all shameful deeds and underhanded methods. We don't try to trick anyone or distort the word of Yahweh Bahashem and Hawashai. We tell the truth before Yahweh Bahashem Yahawashi. And all who are honest know this. If the good news we preach is hidden behind a veil, it is hidden only from people who are perishing.
I would say the biggest question from central banks is what is the role of tokenization and digitization? How quickly should they think about digitizing their own currency? What does that mean for the role of the dollar? If every currency digitizes and we have what does that mean for bank payments? What does that mean for the payment companies like MasterCard and Visa? All these are being questioned right now. I think we spend so much time talking about AI. We're not spending enough time talking about how quickly we're going to tokenize every financial asset and the opportunity we're going to have a digital wallet and moving ETFs and other things through a digital wallet. And I think that's going to happen worldwide very rapidly. And I think most countries are ill-prepared for that and underappreciate how technology is changing that, not unlike how technology is changing AI and other things. It will be changing the technology around the plumbing of finance.
So that video just now, I got off of x.com, formerly known as Twitter, off of a channel. Her name is Catherine Austin. Her handle is at Austin_fit 76995. And she typed, quoting Larry Fink, "Every currency and financial asset will be digitized into digital wallets. This will roll out globally, fast. It rewires the plumbing of finance," basically meaning the entire structure from the financial institutions themselves down to the actual currencies. The infrastructure for the great taking is being announced when all assets sit in custodial digital wallets on centralized ledgers. Legal, title, and control shift to whoever runs the plumbing. That's not innovation. It's the end of direct ownership. And if you remember when cryptocurrencies first came out, the whole thing with cryptocurrencies and why they were attractive to so many people is because they were on decentralized platforms. But now these particular digital wallets that they are going to start rolling out here, they're all going to be on centralized ledgers and platforms now. So what made Bitcoin and all of those other cryptocurrencies so attractive is now being thrown out the window because the financial institutions see that they don't have any control over your finances when things are decentralized. They're needing it to come back to more of a government-run entity. And that's exactly what they're doing here by putting these new blockchains on centralized ledgers. Digitization equals centralization of control. The plumbing they're changing is who gets to turn the valves on your money, stocks, and property claims. So I'll stop there. The individual who was actually in the video, you can still see him there on the bottom of the screen. That was Larry Fink, who is the chairman and CEO of BlackRock. And BlackRock is the largest money management firm in the world. And I do believe they have more than 10 trillion. If we're talking US dollars, it's more than 10 trillion in assets. He's also, incidentally, the current co-chairman of the World Economic Forum, or the WEF. And you heard him in the video say that people are not even talking about how fast they're going to tokenize every financial asset. And part of the reason why, people are just not informed right now. A lot of people are just not paying attention to exactly what's happening and how it, we understand that if you're not in the truth, you probably more than likely wouldn't be able to make the correlation between what he's stating along with what everybody else has been stating and how it correlates to Revelation chapter 13. But for those who are paying attention though, and like he said, people are not even talking about how fast they're going to tokenize every financial asset. People who are paying attention or people who are in the truth, we're approaching that time now where you're not going to be able to deny this truth anymore. You're not going to be able to sugarcoat your teachings and try to say that, the mark of the beast is not exactly what the men of Great Millstone, starting with the apostles on down to the bishops and the elders and all the rest of the Yakim of Great Millstone have been saying that what it actually is. It's not going to be too much longer that you're going to be able to go against that. But the reason why they can do this right now is because, like he's stating, people are not even talking about how fast they're going to tokenize every financial asset. Because most people, especially those who are in the truth, they're not even realizing what the MOTB is still. They're still stating that the MOTB is, sin in all of its form or something ridiculous like that. This is an actual physical mark that they plan on putting inside your skin, whether in the hand or the brain area. So, and when he mentions tokenization, tokenization in regard to finance is the process of converting ownership rights of a physical or financial asset. So whether it's real estate, stocks, artwork, basically they're going to convert that into a digital token that's going to be on a blockchain, on the blockchain itself. So in turn, these particular tokens become shares, so those shares are going to be divided and traded amongst a much larger audience. And it's just like Klaus Schwab has stated, you will own nothing and be happy, and so basically when it's, when these tokens are divided and traded amongst a much larger audience, if you're walking around with the particular mark in your hand, you're not going to get as much now as you probably would have gotten before. I say that to say, let's say you hit the lottery for $5 million and you're the only one that hits it. Once they take out taxes, probably pretty much half of that, you'll still get about 2.5 million for yourself. But the way that this is shaping up now, if you hit the lottery, and I'm just using the lottery as an example, if you hit the lottery now for $5 million, in addition to the taxes that they're going to take out right off the top, you may be splitting that now. Imagine 20,000 other people played those same exact numbers as you. This is exactly what this means. This type of, when these tokens start becoming shares, and they say that it's going to be divided and traded amongst a much larger audience, that's exactly what they're doing. Whatever you earn or you make from that, it's just going to be divided amongst way more people now. This is classic socialism. This is what we're seeing actually is socialism being rolled out. This new beast system is going to be a form of socialism, or even I would go as far as saying communism altogether. Very similar to what we're seeing in China. They've already started that, as far as social credit scores and things to that effect. So, we're basically seeing the complete overhaul of the financial system as we know it. Like I mentioned, whether this is capitalism, socialism, communism, or whatever other economic ideologies, these basically become neutralized when you're discussing the tokenization of financial assets. So in this same video, you heard him mention digital wallets. So I want to go there real fast. So a digital wallet. I typed in what is a digital wallet. A digital wallet or mobile wallet is a secure app-based software on smartphones or computers that stores credit cards, debit cards, loyalty cards, and tickets, allowing users to make contactless payments in stores or online. By using NFC technology, near-field communication technology, users can tap their devices to pay, often with enhanced security features like facial recognition or fingerprints. And that is the NFC technology, is the actual technology within the RFID microchip that would be implanted into those people who are foolish enough to get it. That NFC technology is what would allow you to buy and sell. So, key features and benefits, I'm just going to read a couple of things here. Convenience, store multiple payment. Slovakia. Convenience, stores multiple payment methods in one secure app, such as Apple Pay, Google Pay, Samsung Pay. Security uses tokenization and encryption, which means your actual card number is not shared with merchants during transactions. Types of digital wallets, I'm going to scroll down a little bit. There's the mobile wallets, online software wallets, cryptocurrency wallets, and all of these things. Once this really gets rolled out, once this beast system goes into effect, you're not going to be going online and tapping into, various different things. You're basically going to connect whatever is in your hand or your forehead. You're going to be connected to whatever is going on online. It's no longer going to be, in your pocket, in your cell phone. That information is going to be stored in a digital chip right within your body. So these digital wallets basically, they hold your digital assets. Every bit of your financial information and socioeconomic status will be stored in these wallets, and that's just what we saw here. As far as key features and benefits, stores multiple payment methods in one secure app. So if you have Apple Pay, Google Pay, Samsung Pay, all of this is going to be within that RFID microchip that will be implanted if you're foolish enough to get it, like I mentioned a couple of seconds ago. So I asked Google AI Overview a question pertaining to this, and let's just go back for one quick second here. What is a digital wallet? So I asked Google AI Overview just to see what they said. So, will digital wallets lead to the implantable RFID/NFC microchips? Digital wallets are already driving the development of implantable RFID/NFC microchips. So I asked the question, would it lead to that? And it answered, it's already driving the development of implantable RFID NFC chips, with companies like Walletmore and 3 Square Market actively offering tiny biocompatible chips, roughly the size of a grain of rice, for contactless payments, door access, and personal ID. So this stuff, while you have people still out here arguing and denying what it actually is, it's already in motion. These things all have already been playing out. They've been playing out for a very long time here. And you cannot say that you were not warned. You can't say that you didn't know. Because like I mentioned, the men of great millstone, starting with the apostles on down, have been beating this upside everyone's head ad nauseum for decades now. So there's no escaping this topic. There's no way to sidestep Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 and 17. Everything circles right back around to that particular prophecy. And no matter how much you try to convince yourself or anyone else that the MOTB is not exactly what the men of great millstone have indeed been saying all these years, what it is, and what they've been sounding the alarm about, no matter how much you try to avoid or stay away from this topic, it all comes right back down to that technology, the prophecy of Revelation chapter 13, verses 16 and 17. And I'll go into that real quick. And I'm also going to go into immediately after that, I'm just going to go right into Amos chapter 3, verses 6 to 8, and read those verses as well. Revelation 13, 16 and 17, and I'll read this in the NLT. He required everyone, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to be given a mark on the right hand or on the forehead, and no one could buy or sell anything without that mark, which was either the name of the beast or the number representing his name. So this is what we see playing out right here. This is exactly where we are, in terms of, if there was a prophetic calendar, then this is exactly where we are. We're right here in the midst of Revelation 13, 16, and 17 playing out right before our very eyes here. And there's still a lot of people who are in denial about it. So those people, though, are going to have to make a serious decision here. Amos chapter 3, verses 6 to 8. And I'll read this in the NLT. When the ram's horn blows a warning, shouldn't the people be alarmed? Does disaster come to a city unless Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai has planned it? Indeed, the sovereign Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai never does anything unless he reveals his plans to his servants, the prophets. The lion has roared, so who isn't frightened? The sovereign Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai has spoken, so who can refuse to proclaim his message? Verse 8 in the KJV reads as, the lion hath roared. Who will not fear? Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai hath spoken. Who can but prophesy? And you heard him say, in that particular video, you won't be able to work outside of your 15-minute city. That's basically, COVID conditions there. So we know COVID was a test run, implemented as a form of population control, but also as a test to see just how many people would comply or resist. So now that they've pretty much gathered those numbers, the next phase is implementing a financial system in which they have the ability to lock out people, to basically lock people out of society, I should say. So, and that's, if your credit score falls too low, and that's what you're seeing in China, that's exactly how they would lock you out. If your credit score started falling too slow, that's what they would do. So I'm going to go to one more video here. Matter of fact, this is a video that I've seen Elder Apostle Gabar bring out several times here. If I can find it, I want to find the short version of it. Here we go. Goal of the NWO, RFID chip for everyone. This was an interview with Aaron Russo and Alex Jones, and this is only about 3 minutes long. This is exactly what I was looking for, though.
I had a friend, Nick Rockefeller, who was one of the Rockefeller family, and he, when I was running for governor in Nevada, he came to me, introduced himself to me through an attorney, and we became friends. We started talking about things, and I learned an awful lot from Mr. Rockefeller. And one of the things that we used to talk about was the ultimate plan of the banking industry, what they wanted to accomplish. And the goals of the banking industry, not just the Federal Reserve System, but the private banks in Germany and England, all over Italy, all over the world, they all work together. They're all central banks, and they're all part of the Communist Manifesto. Central banking is one of the major planks of the Communist Manifesto. We talk about America being a capitalistic country, but yet at the same time we have a central bank that plans everything for us, right? And the graduated income tax is another plank of the Communist Manifesto, right? So right there you have two major planks of the Communist Manifesto that have been brought in because of the Federal Reserve System, okay? So the ultimate goal that these people have in mind is the goal to create a one-world government, run by the banking industry, run by the bankers, and they're doing it in sections. The European currency, the euro, and the European Constitution is one part of it. Now they're trying to do it in America with the North American Union, right? And they want to create a new currency called the Amero, right? And the whole agenda is to create a one world government where everybody has an RFID chip implanted in them. All money is to be in those chips, right? There'll be no more cash. And this is given me straight from Rockefeller himself. This is what they want to accomplish. And all money will be in your chips. And so instead of having cash, anytime you have money in your chip, they can take out whatever they want to take out whenever they want to. If they say you owe us this much money in taxes, they just deduct it out of your chip digitally.
Total control.
Total control. And if you're like me or you, and you're protesting what they're doing, they can just turn off your chip. And you have nothing. You can't buy food. You can't do anything. It's total control of the people.
And that chip's connected to a database that has your purchasing records, what you do.
Everything is in there, you know? And so they want a one world government controlled by them, everybody being chipped, all your money in those chips, and they control the chips, and they control people, and you become a slave, you become a serf to these people. That's their goal, that's their intentions.
So now we're seeing that stuff come to fruition, and that is Revelation chapter 13, 16, and 17. So like I mentioned, no one can say that they were not warned. This particular information that's being put out there, you've heard it from somewhere, whether you've heard it from the men of Great Millstone, starting with the apostles on down, whether you heard it from a movie, wasn't there a movie with Mel Gibson called Conspiracy Theory? Well, right within the first 10 minutes of the movie, he was driving a cab and he was mentioning to a woman passenger, I believe, who got in the back seat, and he started going into all of these various conspiracies, and he mentioned the MOTB, RFID, micro C-hip. They've put this thing in cartoons, Exo Squad and stuff like that. That you've heard this stuff in rap songs, Goody Mob, Cell Therapy, Tag My Skin with Your Computer Chip. They have put this stuff out there, So there's no way you have not come across this. This has been in books. It's all over the internet. So if you have convinced yourself or anybody who may listen to you that the MOTB is not exactly what it is, which is the RFID micro C-hip, you are doing yourself and people who may be actually listening to you, you're doing them a huge disservice and an injustice. And Salaki, I just realized here that I skipped a video that I wanted to play. I'm going to play this video really fast here.
The 15-minute cities is something that the WEF has created called C40, and it's called C40 cities. I would urge you to certainly look on the internet about it and then go to all of the TikTokers and see what they're really saying. Basically, you won't be able to drive a petrol or diesel car anymore. You'll have to buy electric. If you want food, you will get a calorie-controlled system sent to you by text saying, this is what you can eat today. This is what you can have today. If you violate any of these things, they'll freeze your bank account. That is the next step. These are stages in which they're going to implement this stuff. And this was signed up by the WEF, and the WEF has signed up with our mayor in London as the chair. And he has gone around the world to communicate this C40 to all of the countries in the world. And most of the countries are looking at adopting it. Now, I am going to abolish it. It is a hopeless position. We are going to be in an open prison, or shall we say a COVID, for the rest of our lives. We will not be able to work unless it's in our 15-minute city.
All right, so that was the mayoral candidate of London. He goes by the name of Shyam Batra, and he was discussing these 15-minute cities. So Oxford in England is now the first city to fully sign up to the plan and work has already begun converting it into a 15-minute city, and that is Oxford in England. And you heard him say, and she quoted him. This poster, her name is Valerie Ann Smith. She basically quoted him, stating 15-minute cities are a concept the WEF has created called C40 cities. It's diabolical. You won't be able to drive a petrol or diesel car. This is what you can eat today. This is what you can buy today. If you violate this, they can freeze your bank account. So, and that's where we are right now. And in order to freeze your bank account, you heard it when Aaron Russo was just talking to Alex Jones in the video that I just played. They can do something as simple as just turning off your chip. It's remote. They'll have some type of remote access to it. So, these are the things that are coming into fruition right now. These are the things that you have been warned about several times. So I'm not going to make this video too long. I'm just going to end with a few scriptures. Let's go to 1 John chapter 5. And I'm going to read 18 through 21. Once again, 1 John chapter 5, verses 18 through 21, and I'll read this in the NLT. We know that Yahweh's children do not make a practice of sinning, for Yahweh's Son holds them securely, and the evil one cannot touch them. We know that we are the children of Yahweh, and that the world around us is under the control of the evil one. And we know that the Son of Yahweh has come, and he has given us understanding so that we can know the true power. And that's exactly what I was getting at, earlier. If you're in this truth and if you're of the elect, you're pretty much secure, Hamashiach Yahushai has you basically covered, so you won't be receiving that mark. His scattered and chosen elect are basically not going to be able to get it. We may face death, we may face imprisonment, but we're pretty much covered through the blood of Hamashiach Yahushai. And this is exactly what verse 18 was stating. We know that Yahweh's children do not make a practice of sinning, for Yahweh's Son holds them securely, and the evil one cannot touch them. And let's go to Revelation chapter 14. And I'll read verses 9 through 13. And I'll end it there to see exactly what the elect would be covered and shielded from. But for those who do receive the mark, this is ultimately what will happen to you. Revelation chapter 14, verses 9 through 13. Once again, Revelation 14, verses 9 through 13. And this is subtitled Doom for Worshippers of the Beast. Then a third angel followed them, shouting, anyone who worships the beast and his statue, or who accepts his mark on the forehead or in the hand, must drink of the wine of Yahweh's anger. It has been poured full strength unto Yahweh's cup of wrath, and they will be tormented with fire and burning sulfur in the presence of the holy angels and the Lamb. The smoke of their torment will rise forever and ever, and they will have no relief day or night, for they have worshipped the beast and the statue, and have accepted the mark of his name. This means that Yahweh's holy people must endure persecution patiently, obeying his commands and maintaining their faith in Yahushai. And I heard a voice from heaven saying, write this down, blessed are those who die in Yahweh, Bahashem Yahushai, from now on. Yes, says the Spirit, they are blessed indeed, for they will rest from their hard work, for their good deeds will follow them. I pray this has been edifying and reaches the heirs it's supposed to reach. Shalom.